Hello everybody! By the time the video is uploaded, I will have just hit 100 subscribers. Today I'm celebrating that, and I hope you enjoy this celebration. I'm going to be ranking every Star Wars movie on a tier list, S being amazing, F not being so amazing. I'm pretty sure you know how it is, starting with New Hope. Let's do this. So, let's start off with New Hope. We all know what A New Hope is like, but I'm just going to do a breakdown and say why it's such a good movie. As a one singular movie, it's amazing and gives infinite possible storytellings. If you watched it and there was no other Star Wars movies that you watched, you would, I think, see that something was missing, with a lot of possibilities being possible. But that's kind of why Star Wars is so popular. There's a lot of roads and turns that could come from just this one movie. It's a really good movie to someone who doesn't even really enjoy Star Wars for the first time ever seeing it. It's just a genuinely good movie. I like movies that have adventure and then it comes to the end once the movie's over that has a possible sequel but doesn't need it. This one didn't need it, but oh man, we loved it. You got Han Solo, Chewbacca, Obi-Wan, Luke, Leia. It's also very creative. Like George Lucas, I don't need to tell him this, but he did great. Very creative storyline, very creative aliens. A lot of memorable scenes such as Han, who shot first and stuff, really actually depends on the recording. A very wise person once told me that. But the cantina is interesting. You know, most of my channel is about Lego. A lot of good Lego sets too. Yeah, it's I think it's probably belongs most in A tier because I would say it fits it best because it's not S where it's so much above it, and it's also not below it that much, below itself, or very low, because it really is just a good movie, a well-rounded movie. Nothing incredibly crazy, but also nothing terrible. Yeah, I think it goes in A tier. Now on Empire Strikes Back, I would say this is probably half, if not the majority, of Star Wars fans' favorite movies, as everything you can like, being, these days, one of the very few good sequels, having very interesting planets and biodiversity. It really expands upon the original, being even so that the sequel is pretty much by most people considered better than the original, which is a very rare sight in pop culture and in just movies in general. You have Yoda, which I think the puppet version is the best by a very wide margin. It also helps different characters with their storylines, and like I previously said, expands upon the original story. I love the scene with the ATSTs. I feel like probably everyone does. It's one I would say the most iconic scenes in Star Wars, going through the snows of Hoth. It's great. Referenced in Marvel movies by Peter Parker, by a lot of things. It is probably, it's one of the most iconic scenes in Star Wars. You could show this to someone who's never seen Star Wars, and they probably know what it is. You also have the Luke, I am your father scene. That scene is very iconic. A lot of people think it's just I am your father. Nope, Luke, I am your father. Yeah, not too much more to say. This is obviously an S tier movie. 10 out of 10. Perfect film. Expands upon the original, but still somehow leaves room for more to happen. Great movie. Great Star Wars film.
And I literally designed them up.
So you were in the purple. If I was you, I would have left. We're going to bro, that's a llama. What? Oh, there's so many hidden.
Now we come upon Return of the Jedi. Not exactly the first movie to show Boba Fett, but one of the most memorable ones too. It has everything from Jabba to mistakes with lightsaber colors. Yeah, I see you, Luke. And so much more. It shows the Emperor, which at that time, whenever you were first watching it, is pretty cool because you see the Emperor, and before the Emperor, you think that Darth Vader's just the boss of everything, and then you have this guy ordering him around like it's nothing, which is I think pretty cool and shows another level of power. The Palpatine's done very well, and I'm still left wondering how he survived that fall into exploding moon-sized spacecraft. But I guess it's just beyond me or something. The Ewoks are really nice. I like that scene. not my favorite. Out of the original three, I think it would probably go Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. Not my favorite one for sure. But, it's still good and still entertaining. If you're just watching the original trio, it's a good ending to it because, happy ending. Not all stories need a happy ending, but I feel like this one was good. Yeah, the prequels and the sequels. It already had a happy ending. Already did. But, yeah. Pretty good film. Not even close to the others. Like, not even close. But still a pretty good Star Wars movie. B. Now, Phantom Menace. This movie is oddly one of my favorites, I would say, even though it does have young Anakin, which at times, most of the time, is annoying. It shows the start of the prequels, which is by far my favorite out of the three, I would say. It has Darth Maul, which I love. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters behind Cad Bane, they can be very good. I know a lot of people do not like this and will not like and where I am putting it on the list. Enjoy his character design. You're just gonna have to live with that at being one of the first of the. But you probably did help me for that 100 subscribers. Well, maybe not as tier today. Darth Maul's cool. I love this photo of Anakin. I think it's really scenic, and I feel like everyone can really say that. Young Anakin, I know a lot of people don't like him, and I would have to say the same. At times, he can definitely be annoying, and the pod racing scene is nice, I suppose. That old CGI really hits hard sometimes. But I do feel like being the first of showing this new world, it is pretty good, even though it has Jar Jar Binks and all that stuff. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna have to put it on A tier. Next up, we have Attack of the Clones. This movie is, I don't think, by too many to be considered their favorite, and I definitely do not enjoy it as much as Phantom Menace, but nonetheless is still a good linking movie in between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Phantom Menace has kind of a big personality of it and a good lightsaber duel here and there, but I feel like this movie is really lacking that. The chase scene is, okay. But honestly, I just do not enjoy it as much as the others, and is by far, out of these six, probably my least favorite out of all the movies. I guess that's all that can really be said for now. Next, we're at my personal favorite of the Star Wars movies, Revenge of the Sith. I feel like this one is really perfect. For me, I think it's even better than Empire Strikes Back. It's definitely among most fans either their second or first favorite Star Wars movie, and it really has everything I want in a movie. It has a big twist, it has unexpected plot twists, and so much more. I really think it's perfect. The scene with General Grievous is really nice, and the hello there sequence is infamous. I feel like this movie is amazing. Anakin turning to the dark side is really entertaining to watch, and many scenes have gone down as legendary in Star Wars lore. I feel like this movie is a 10 out of 10, and with no doubt will be going in S tier. Now we're at the sequels. These movies will generally be ranking closer to the bottom of the list because of their plot holes, unsensical events, and many other bad factors. Let's get into it. The first one's going to be The Force Awakens. This is where we're going to be introduced to our main new set of heroes. We have Rey, Finn, old Han Solo, old Leia, old Luke, Kylo Ren, and many First Order officers. So this first movie, The Force Awakens, is genuinely just not my favorite movie. For instance, Rey has a lot of moments where she should not be able to do things that she does, and it really, a lot of times, just does not make sense. Compared to the originals, this one is a lot worse. I'm going to assume you've seen them, but just in case you haven't, I'm also going to summarize them. So, essentially, the idea of these movies is a young scavenger girl named Rey is born on a desert planet, and she has to go out because she has force powers. And so, a stormtrooper named Finn comes down, she helps him out, meets Kylo Ren, and pretty much does the exact same thing that Luke does in A New Hope, very typical hero's arc, nothing too special there. It's entertaining, but not even close to the other ones. Now let's go to our next movie. Now we're at Star Wars The Last Jedi. Ooh. So in this movie, Rey meets Luke Skywalker, and it turns out he's just a terrible guy now, living on this beach where he drinks green milk. And Rey goes there, and she gets taught by Luke how to be a Jedi. Then there's this huge fight with Kylo Ren, but then it turns out that Luke actually isn't there and he's a hologram, but then it turns out that Kylo Ren has a really bad temper. A lot of things happen in this movie. None of them are particularly amazing, and out of the 3 sequel movies, I feel like this one is the worst. I feel like the one good thing that came out of this movie was the My Stick song that Bad Lip Reading made. That's a real banger. Recommend watching it. The final movie. In this movie, Rey stops intergalactic threats as Palpatine has returned. Ooh, spooky. And so somehow he survived the Death Star blowing up, which its explosion has sent shockwaves for miles away. But let's just forget about that. Somehow he fell and survived on this planet. There's a pretty cool fight between Rey and Kylo Ren while it's really rainy. I like Rain too, guys. Just not really battle scenes in them. At the end, Lando Calrissian gets his buddies to help stop Palpatine, which, has returned. Still doesn't really add up to me. But this is just a very generic movie and just has the perfect finale to summarize what the sequels were, which is disappointing. I feel like this is definitely not one of my favorite movies. Rey continues to be in it and do things that do not make sense to her abilities, but I mean, at least they didn't mess up the prequels, right? And with that, that's my ranking of all the Star Wars movies. I really hope you enjoy this video as much as I did making it, and thank you so much for the 100 subscribers. This has been a goal of mine for a long time. Hope you keep watching. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe, just for you to have a great day. See you in the next one.